Tesla shareholders not feeling Elon Musk's announcement that he would form a new political party called America Party. CNBC's Phil LeBeau is here to talk about that move and the investor reaction, which right now, Phil, shares of Tesla down by 5.8%.
Wall Street just got nuked, and it wasn't because of interest rates or global unrest. It was because the most unpredictable man in tech pulled the pin on his own company. Tesla's stock imploded, hemorrhaging billions in value. Not because of faulty batteries or delayed shipments, but because Elon Musk, in a move no CEO has ever attempted, launched his own political party. While investors were prepping for earnings, Musk went live with what can only be described as a digital fever dream. Crypto presidents, AI-run elections, and a manifesto that sounded more like a sci-fi rebellion than a corporate update. The result? Tesla spiraled faster than one of Musk's late-night tweets. And now, the world's most valuable car company looks more bankrupt than bold. This wasn't a slow decline. It was an explosion. On the morning of July 3, 2025, markets opened to a horror show. Tesla's stock crashed over 22% in just 4 hours. Clean tech indexes collapsed in its wake. Why? Because instead of unveiling growth figures, Musk used his personal social account to launch a third political party, dubbed the Democratic Frontier. No press conference, no warning, no board input. Just a single impulsive post that wiped out $140 billion in wealth before lunchtime. The financial sector wasn't asking if Tesla could recover. They were wondering if this was the beginning of a total brand annihilation. Inside major institutions like BlackRock, Vanguard, and ARK Invest, panic moved faster than price charts. These weren't Reddit traders or meme-chasing retail gamblers. These were global giants managing retirement plans and sovereign capital. And one of their biggest green investments had just declared ideological war on the global order. Within minutes, ARK froze all Tesla allocations. Vanguard blacked out trades. BlackRock pulled Tesla from ESG models, an emergency move that screamed full-scale retreat. The fallout wasn't technical. It was psychological, and the man behind it had said nothing yet. But when Musk finally broke his silence, he didn't ease the chaos. He detonated it. At 11:26 a.m., he posted one cryptic sentence. "We're not just driving cars anymore. We're driving history." Was it a metaphor? A pivot? A coup? No one knew. That single line deepened the panic. Was this a sign he was abandoning Tesla? Channeling its resources into political power? Even his own board was caught completely off guard. Employees were left guessing if they still had jobs. And shareholders? They watched their portfolios bleed as the CEO vanished into digital riddles. This wasn't leadership. This was economic arson, and the blaze spread quickly. By early afternoon, the Nasdaq froze Tesla's trading, citing extraordinary volume and unexplained corporate activity. It was a rare move, typically reserved for pandemics or geopolitical shocks. But this time, the disaster was homemade, engineered by the very man meant to steer the company through storms. Aerial news footage showed crowds gathering outside Tesla HQ in Austin. Protesters, reporters, disillusioned reservation holders demanding Cybertruck refunds. The emotional volatility on the ground mirrored the market's hysteria. Musk's fantasy had triggered something visceral, a public sense of betrayal. And then came the moment no one saw coming. At 3:07 a.m., while most of the country was asleep, Musk went live. Not for a product launch, not for an innovation reveal, but for a political manifesto. For 47 chaotic minutes, the CEO of Tesla laid out his vision for the technocratic frontier, a party guided by AI courts, decentralized cryptocurrency, and private space expansion free from regulation. There was no mention of Tesla's strategy, no plan for shareholders, just a stream of consciousness broadcast that looked less like corporate leadership and more like the ramblings of a tech messiah with no leash. The most shocking part? The names he dropped. Lex Fridman as Chief Ethics Officer, Joe Rogan as Culture Strategist, Peter Thiel as Architect of the Economic Framework. It wasn't a cabinet. It was a who's who of Silicon Valley podcast celebrities. And the message was unmistakable. Musk was done pretending. He didn't care about optics. He wasn't just running a company anymore. He was building a parallel state, where ideology overrode accountability and brand power replaced governance. Inside Tesla, the shock turned into something darker: fear. Employees were blindsided. Slack channels overflowed with panic and confusion. Leaked screenshots revealed engineers asking whether their AI divisions had been converted into political arms. One senior dev typed, "Are we a car company or a political cult?" Another warned legal counsel might quit en masse within days. HR was buried under resignation threats. Nobody had answers. What was once a mission-driven brand had turned into a live-action tech dystopia, and the people behind the code were the last to know. But the internal rebellion was just beginning. Within 24 hours, a bombshell leaked. Billionaire investor Ron Barron, longtime Musk loyalist, had been recorded privately blasting the stunt as the single most reckless act by a CEO this decade. In the same audio, he warned other investors that Tesla had become a liability masquerading as innovation, and hinted that legal action might be the only way to protect remaining shareholder value. His tone wasn't skeptical. It was lethal. And with that leak, the deep money elite had turned on their golden boy. The media smelled blood. CNN, Bloomberg, and the Washington Post didn't hold back. They branded it Tesla's death spiral moment. This wasn't clickbait. It was a diagnosis. Commentators described the company as hijacked, repurposed for Musk's political obsession. Consumer sentiment collapsed. Favorability among Gen Z and millennials, the backbone of Tesla's brand loyalty, plummeted. And as memes comparing Musk to Bond villains went viral, the truth emerged from under the chaos. Tesla wasn't leading the future anymore. It was becoming a vanity platform for one man's ideological fantasy. The government didn't wait long. Just 36 hours after Musk's party launch, the SEC dropped an emergency inquiry. Market manipulation, breach of fiduciary duty, failure to disclose risks. Analysts flagged the livestream as a textbook violation. But that wasn't all. The Department of Justice stepped in next, citing a $90 million inflow into Musk's newly founded political pass, mostly via untraceable crypto wallets. Watchdogs raised alarms. Legal experts warned that these actions didn't just test boundaries, they shattered them. The line between private political expression and corporate malpractice had been crossed. But behind closed doors, something even more brutal was forming. Tesla's own board of directors was preparing to sever ties. A leaked emergency meeting summary showed board members discussing legal distancing statements, the kind issued before a company removes its CEO. There had been no prior communication, no strategy, just a manifesto, a meltdown, and a cratered stock price. Directors feared not just reputational damage, but legal exposure. And they weren't waiting for public opinion to shift. They were preparing for war. The next explosion didn't come from investors or regulators, but from inside Tesla itself. A former senior engineer, Amelia Quirk, stepped forward with a bombshell. In an exclusive exposé, she revealed Tesla's engineering teams had been quietly repurposed to develop political infrastructure, tools for data mining, voter behavior tracking, and crypto-based engagement models. What was once an EV innovator had become a software arm of a digital political machine. Innovation wasn't the priority. Influence was. It didn't stop there. Internal emails began leaking, each one more damning than the last. One thread showed Tesla's AI division had received explicit orders to pause self-driving updates and redirect efforts toward political analytics. Engineers weren't improving road safety. They were optimizing voter persuasion. The company that once promised full autonomy had become a think tank for ideological warfare. In Silicon Valley, this wasn't just controversial, it was treason. And then the lawsuits began. A class action suit filed by a coalition of furious shareholders accused Musk and Tesla's leadership of willful negligence and abandoning the company's stated mission. The legal claims cited SEC precedents around misuse of shareholder capital and deviation from public filings. But this wasn't a stunt lawsuit. Legal experts warned it had teeth and consequences. The plaintiffs didn't just want damages, they wanted Musk gone. Online employee forums erupted. Resignations trickled out in real time. Glassdoor was flooded with testimonials from ex-staff who no longer recognized the company. One called Tesla a hollow shell orbiting Elon's ego. Another posted a countdown to their final day. The cult-like loyalty that once held Tesla together had splintered. Engineers were done defending a vision they no longer believed in. But Tesla wasn't just losing people, it was preparing to gut its future. HR documents leaked showing upcoming mass layoffs in the solar, autopilot, and semi-truck divisions. These weren't bloat cuts. These were core operations. Musk's own golden children sacrificed to funnel more resources into his political machine. Strategic downsizing? That was the PR line. Inside the company, it felt like a purge. If your team didn't serve the new political mission, you were expendable. And then came the spectacle. In downtown Austin, Elon Musk returned to the stage. But this wasn't a product reveal. It was something else entirely. With over 70,000 attendees, crypto booths, drones, LED stages, and robotic mascots, Musk unveiled what he called Techno for Freedom, a political tech crossover event that looked more like a dystopian carnival than a campaign rally. But what shocked everyone wasn't the visuals. It was what came next. He didn't just announce a party. He announced a country. Tesla Nation, Musk proclaimed, a fully sovereign smart city, powered by Tesla solar grids, connected by underground tunnels, governed by blockchain voting, outside the reach of any government, any regulation. A nation of innovation, he said, free from parasites and bureaucracy. The crowd roared. But across Washington, Wall Street, and Silicon Valley, jaws dropped. Because this wasn't branding. This was a secessionist blueprint, pitched by a billionaire with the funds, the following, and the infrastructure to pull it off. Tesla was no longer a company. It had become a state. And no one, not the shareholders, not the engineers, not even the board, could stop what was coming next.
You know, the concerns about sales slowing down, or are you more concerned about politics?